Hey guys, how good do you think you are at spotting checkmate threats and also checkmate opportunities when you're the attacking player? I haven't been that good at it in the last couple of days. I've played a bunch of chess games. My rating at Rapid has dropped from like 1530 a few days ago, 10 days ago, down to below. I was like 1430, I think, at some point. So I literally dropped like 100 points. So yeah, played a bunch of games, which has mostly consisted of people queuing up to hand me my arse. But you know, a few wins, a few losses, and what I'd like to share with you today is 6 games, all of which I've played in the last 24 hours. And what we want to be doing is I want you to look at the board. So we're not going to work through from the start of any of these games. We're just going to look at really the finishes. And what I want you to be looking at is for where is the danger, and particularly for checkmate threat. So we'll start with this one. So this may be a blitz game, I'm not sure. Yeah, it looks like a blitz game. So I play blitz just for fun, just to practice stuff, so I don't take it too seriously. So in this situation now, right, I'm white and I've just played c3, attacking this knight. Okay, knight captures b3, which seems like a really good move, okay, because the pawn is actually pinned, right? So this is a tactic called free capture when the defender is pinned. So the pawn on b3 is defended only by the pawn on a2, but the pawn on a2 can't move, or the queen takes the rook, you see. So we have knight takes pawn. But what black isn't paying as much attention to is that I'm also attacking on the other side of the board. So I've come up with a pawn storm here. So I've got my g pawn and my h pawn are very much advanced. Now that king looks kind of snug in there, but see what happens. Okay, so we have pawn takes, and now I think I think that's probably a blunder, rook to h8. What it allows is pawn takes on h7 now, okay? Now my queen is lurking here, ready to dive in, also backed up with a rook. So I can take with the pawn now, and rook can't take because queen will capture, okay? However, the pawn is now jammed in, it can't progress, can't move forward. So black now thinks, I'll capture the rook on a1, okay? But this is a huge mistake. Why is it a huge mistake? Pause if you need to, take a second. Queen h6 is actually checkmate, okay? The queen is obviously defending the pawn, king can't go to any of those, can't go to there because of the queen, and can't go to there because of the pawn. So, beware free rooks. Okay, let's have a look at game number 2. Right, in this instance, so white is up 1 pawn at this point. I'm playing black. My pawns are a bit all over the shop. We have rook here, and now I lift my rook to f7, which seems reasonable because it's defending that pawn and that pawn. So this pawn is now defended 3 times, and we have rook comes in to d6, and this comes with check. So I can't capture, so the king, it has to move, and I move to f5. Okay, now that's a mistake. Okay, and see if you can figure out mate in 2 for white from this point. Okay, the first move is actually h3. Now it looks like this king's got plenty of scope. You know, there's a lot of space on the board, but that can be deceiving. Okay, so at this point I now play a5, which is completely wrong because, have you seen it? g4 is checkmate. Check this out. So the rook's covering this whole 6th rank. The pawns are covering all of these squares, and this square is protected by the knight. So the king has nowhere to go and clearly can't take that pawn because the rook's defending it. All right. So you've got to tune in these spider senses to checkmate possibilities. Yeah, again, it's probably a blitz game, so I wasn't taking, maybe paying enough care, giving it enough care, or taking the time. I didn't really have the time to spend on that. But even so, with 2 minutes 25 left on the clock, it doesn't take a moment at this point, right, to say, okay, how many squares does my king have? No, 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 no. Right? So all white needs to do from that point is to, oh, and I can't go to that square. So all white needs to do is actually deliver check at this point, because there's no squares, okay? So that, obviously, checkmate, okay? So it's worth taking the time to do that. Let's look at game number 3. All right, so in this instance, I am playing with the black pieces. My opponent's rated, and this is a rapid game. My opponent's rated 1075. Okay, clicky chessy, and white has just played c4. Okay, now according to the engine, this is going all black's way at this point. Now, what I think I should have done in this instance. So look, I've got 2 free pawns here. I can choose either one. The difference is that this pawn can capture on there, and this pawn has really got nothing to do. But if I capture this one, I could also go on maybe to, I'm still attacking both c2 and h4 as well. Plus this pawn is defended twice. It's defended by a rook and a bishop. I actually make the inaccurate move. I capture on h4. This allows pawn to capture there. Okay, now I can get it back with my rook. Rook takes, bishop takes. Okay. Now, rook to there. Now this is a pretty neat checkmate, and this is like a pattern that I think I need to tune into a bit more. Okay, so clearly bishop's under attack. The rook can't. My remaining rook can't defend the bishop. So I moved the bishop back to here. Maybe there could have been an alternative. I'm not sure. But now look, rook d8 check. Check this out. King f7 is forced, and now beautiful. Rook f8 is checkmate. The rook there is protected by this bishop, and this pawn is covering both of those escape squares. So that is a really, really lovely checkmate. And you have to tip your hat to an opponent who can find moves like that. Sometimes you just get lucky. All right, game number 4. So in this instance, I've just moved my knight, I think, to this square. So yeah, so I've just captured white's knight, and presently I'm up 2 points in material. Okay, so I now have a knight on the board. Now this is a lovely move. This is from Peter Stone. We played a bunch of games yesterday, and he mostly wiped the floor with me. Peter's chess.com friend. His rapid rating has now grown to like 1350, and we played a load of blitz games yesterday, and it was a terrible performance on the whole on my part. This is a lovely move. So right now it seems like this knight's fine. Yes, it's pinned by the rook, but it's attacked once and it's defended once. Okay. Now what this move does, Queen d5, comes with check, and that's the key thing. So it's adding a second attacker to the knight, right? But so what I actually do in the game is I move my king out of the way. I think a better move would have been rook e6, okay? If I'd have taken time. Again, this is a blitz game. But rook e6 would have added a second defender to the knight and blocked the check as well. But I didn't play that. I played king h8 because I was rushing, even though I've got 3 minutes left on the clock. Okay, and now the rook can grab the knight. I move my queen to one side. So, we're kind of relatively equal. White is up 1 pawn at this point in time in terms of material. and Peter now doubles up his rooks. Very good move. So we have a threat here. Okay, we have a threat of like a barrage on the back rank, and now that my king has gone into the corner, there's no escape for the king there, so it could get back rank mated. Okay, now let's say we had like if a rook comes down, captures, obviously queen gets the final capture. One thing he could have considered is literally just tripling up his pieces on the e-file, but I now make a blunder. And can you see why this is a blunder? Right, so we need to be sensitive to these back rank issues, because the queen can actually just simply capture the rook. Okay, this is one of my defenders of the back rank. Now, while there's two attackers here, I'm covered, right? Because if one comes down, I just grab it, and if the other one then comes down as well, I grab that. Okay, so two attackers of the back rank, two defenders. So far, so good. That's okay. Actually, this move would probably have been quite reasonable as well, although I would have expected Pete to have tripled up on the e-file, because he was playing very well. So I play this, but now you see what happens is queen takes, and if I recapture now, okay, we simply have rook e8, which comes with check and also attacks my queen. Okay, if my queen captures, bang, second rook comes flying in, rook e8, and it's checkmate. So in the end, I figured that out. I go in and grab a free pawn, and now rook e8. There's nothing I can do. So I move my king across to g8 to defend the queen, but takes, and now rook e8 again. There's nothing to be done, so I let him have the checkmate, and it's that's a lovely little checkmate, right? Because the king has no squares to go. Just very, very sweet and perfect. Right, we've got two more games against the same guy. Right, here we are. This is a remarkable one. This really is. So again, it's a blitz game, 3 minutes on the clock each way. This has come from the Dutch. And I play c5 with the black pieces. We have pawn takes and king takes on e6. There's clearly, I can't recapture with my pawn because the pawn is pinned. I'd lose my queen. Okay, so king takes. And now pawn to f4 attacks my knight. My knight comes back to c6. And queen to d3. Now at this point, I make yet another dumbass move. Right, because I play queen to e7. And can you see the way the game finishes? It's really quite remarkable. So this is known, I think, as a dovetail mate. And it's a particular pattern. Queen d5 is checkmate. Okay, because it's the only escape square is still on that diagonal, the queen's guarding it. And it's because I've got pieces here and here, right? If you get rid of these pawns don't matter, these guys, right? They don't matter. But these two, this is what makes the dovetail. So like a dovetail joint. Yeah. So when you've got pieces there and the king is here, queen comes in there, checkmate, as long as the queen's defended. So yeah, again, a lovely finish. Again, want to log in the memory banks, you know. The key is when you have a bad day like this, right? When you suck at chess, you only lose if you don't learn from your mistakes, right? Hopefully, by doing this, and this is one of the reasons why I like to make videos, not only because I want to give Jag some publicity, but I do this because I learn when I do this. All right, so ready for the final game? Let's look at game number 6. Okay, and it's Peter again. He just can't get enough of punishing me. So what goes on in this game? Oh yeah, this is great. Lovely, lovely sequence here. Okay, so Pete sacrifices his bishop. King captures the bishop. Okay, and now queen d3 check. King just slides back to g8. Okay. I'm 4 points up in material right now. I've got an extra rook, okay, But the thing is, right, and this is something that I know I've mentioned in some of my lessons recently as well. My rook on A8 isn't in the game, right? So there's no point having an extra rook. Having said that, his rook hasn't entered the game either, yeah? But pieces are they're only worth their nominal value if they're active, right? If you never take them out of the box, because that's basically what that rook's doing. This bishop ain't moved, it's gone nowhere, and it's not going to move anytime soon, because anyway, I'm going to get checkmated very soon. The rook's not in the game, but, you know, Pete's got a nice bishop, knight, queen, they're all active, okay? So let's see how it rolls out. Now the knight comes in, and there's a serious threat, okay? Because the knight's guarding these two squares, so the threat is queen to h7, which would be checkmate. Now, I thought for a little while, well, not long enough, I thought for 8.8 seconds, and I've got 3 minutes 27 on the clock. Okay, and I make the completely wrong move. I didn't see, the best move here would be g6. Okay, g6 simply blocks the, blocks the immediate checkmate. So if we play g6, maybe queen comes in, queen comes to there, and maybe I'll get away with it, right? I decide that there's no way of stopping the mate other than to capture the knight, which is completely dumb. But material's not too bad. I'm now 2 points down in material, and now I play b6 to try and release my bishop and get it involved in the game. h4 is played. I fianchetto my bishop on move 23, and another pawn push, right? So am I sensitive to the danger here? This is the question. Queen takes d7, and now knight to f5, and now it's going to be pretty unstoppable. I grab a pawn, threatening the rook, but we have pawn takes g7 now. It's attacking my rook, threatening to capture my rook, so I simply move my rook there. e6, and I grab his queen, right? Look at this. Yeah. Peter lost his queen. Oh no, my queen, says Peter. Oh no, my king, says Ben. Wonderful, wonderful queen sacrifice. I mean, that's just great. Look at that. Again, look, the pawn here is protected by the long-range bishop. Okay, and the rook is simply covering these squares, and this pawn is guarding that square. Okay, so the rook's got all of this, and the pawn is guarding that. It's just a beautiful, beautiful checkmate. So what do we learn from this? I think all of us could probably benefit from tuning in our spider senses to checkmate threats as well. It doesn't matter about material if you get checkmated, right? You can't win a game if you get checkmated. Simple as that, okay? So, and I also think it's just nice to celebrate some elegant finishes to games as well, because what's not to like? You know, we love this game, and one of the reasons we love it is for its beauty. So, all good. Thank you for watching. I hope you found it interesting, useful, entertaining as well, and I'll see you very soon.